Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Full Body Yes podcast. Today, I am joined by the beautiful Shanae Brown, a manifestation queen and psychic medium whose business exploded after she left her 9 to 5 and trusted the nudge. This conversation was such a vibe. We got into Shanae's feminine approach to manifestation, all about deep surrender, daily dialogue with the universe, and letting yourself receive rather than force. We also talked about business growth without the burnout, so how her first clients arrived, what actually created momentum in her business, and why seasons matter, especially for women in business. We talked about psychic gifts in entrepreneurship, how she channels, how she knows when to act, and simple ways to strengthen your own intuition. We talked about authenticity over authority theater online. So showing the real thing, the real you, not the highlight reel, and how that is the best strategy in your business. And we also talked about womb wisdom as a creation portal, plus who you allow in the waiting room while your manifestations are still forming. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's dive into the magic with Shanae. And if you love this episode, we would love it if you screenshot and tag us at Dr. Shiri Leader and at Shanae Brown _ so we can share you back. Okay, let's go. Hello, Shanae, and welcome to the Full Body Yes podcast. I am so excited and happy to have you here.
It's an honor to be here. I can't wait to dive into the magic and see what comes through today.
Same here. I just love listening to everything that you say, so I cannot wait for the listeners to just get to know you a little bit. So I already talked about you in the intro, but I'd love to hear what you tell us. Kind of, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like every time I answer this, it shifts and changes. You're probably the same. It's like the more you go on your own spiritual journey, there's different facets of you that want to
Yeah.
come out. But I guess I'm a spiritual mentor, manifestation queen. My business first started from psychic reading, so I blew up literally in a few months of quitting my 9 to 5. Spirit told me to quit and go all in my business. We can dive into that, how to trust your intuition and all of those sorts of things. And yeah, in a few months I was fully booked 4 months in advance, and it just kind of popped. I didn't even know you could kind of do this stuff as work. What?
Yeah, I love that. I by the way, I love that you call yourself a manifestation queen because one of the main things that I talk about and I work on with myself and client is self-image and just really claiming who you are and what you're good at. And so many people shy away from that. And I think, again, like this podcast mainly talks to business owners and entrepreneurs, mainly women. And so many struggle to make it work or make it as big as they want to. But a lot of it is because they don't actually claim how good they are at what they do. So I just love that you do that without hiding or anything like that.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a journey to get here. I remember when I first started delving into this work, I didn't have any friends that were in the spiritual space or anything. So I very much was hidden. And I feel like that's a lot of people's stories. And then, sort of came out of the spiritual closet, so to speak. And yeah, it was a huge thing, letting go of the 9 to 5 and that old identity and just stepping into being a business owner and also a spiritual business owner and people not getting what you actually do and being okay with not being understood. That is a huge thing.
Yes, I love that. I don't know if you probably don't know much about my story, but I actually used to be a lecturer in university. So I live in the UK. My husband is from here. I live in the UK. Up until 2 years ago, I was a lecturer. I taught on a master's degree in university. I was the most kind of matrixy person you could think about. And I was always kind of spiritual, but well, I was always very spiritual, but I always felt the need to hide it, especially because I was so good at studying and stuff like that. So I just felt like, oh, if people know this about me, they're not going to take me seriously. And then I went through a whole journey. It's just a whole story. But yeah, I went from being a lecturer in academia to being an intuitive reader and again, a spiritual mentor. And when I tell you, when I first talked about intuition and higher self on my Instagram, I wanted to bury myself. I was like, everyone's going to think I'm crazy. If people from university find this out, I'm going to be fired. What's going on? But when you actually claim who you are and you work on that self image and you work on just being fully you, it's so worth it. It's just so worth it. So yeah.
Yeah,
But anyways, I just want
100%.
to I want to dive into the first question because there's just so much I want to talk to you about. I really want to pick your brains about everything, kind of intuition and business. So you have a very unique feminine way of seeing and practicing manifestation. So when you think about manifestation, how do you even define it in your own words, and how does that show up in your daily life?
Yeah, so it's definitely evolved as I've kind of walked this path. And I guess the way that I used to do manifestation was very much like from a masculine standpoint. It was kind of like, doing the to-do lists and manifesting from, oh, I should be doing these things in order to receive. And it was that kind of like forceful energy. And to be honest, it's where most people start. They start from that kind of like copy paste. You read the books, oh, do this strategy, da 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 da. And it works and it has a lot of success. And I manifested a lot. I started my business that way and manifested a lot of things in my own world. But then something shifted in me. And I was like, there must be an easier way to do this. Like, it just wasn't flowing the way that it used to flow. And I was like kind of getting into that burnout, even knowing all the things that I know about this path. And it was actually last year where the script really changed for me. And I went into the deepest surrendering feminine portal with the universe. And I realized that the universe, God, source, whoever you subscribe to, but that relationship, they're the masculine and we are the feminine. We're the ones that are meant to receive. And universe, God, source, I'll use them all interchangeably, is the provider. It literally wants to do the masculine things. And a lot of the time we cock block ourselves at our manifestations because we like ask for the things and we take the intuitive hits and then we just like try from force and we're like not trusting that it's going to be on the way. And especially as feminine, like I'm talking from the feminine aspect, like not from the masculine, if you identify that way. But we literally, if you think about even like biology and things, like we are the egg in the manifestation journey, right? We're the egg, we receive. The sperm comes to the egg, the sperm chases the egg. We have to be open in our bloom. And I really started getting that. And it was like that forced surrender of like, oh my gosh, I like have daddy issues with the universe. I needed to sort out that relationship because I did not trust fully. Yeah.
Yeah. And how, well, this is such a big question, but let's say someone listens to it and they're like, I really want to trust fully, but how do I do that when there's like bills to pay and I don't know where my next client is coming from? Do you have anything that you would say to them? Maybe some things that you work on with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a huge one is first, like any relationship, is communication is key, right? So, literally, what everyone preaches, it's like you're going to have a shit relationship if you don't communicate. Same thing goes for you and the universe. So, if you're just like tuning into the universe like once every couple of days, once a week, once a month, oh, I want this, and then that's all you do, like that's the energy you're going to receive because you got to think about it as like a literal physical relationship. What you put in, you get in return. And communication is key. I remember I started just like voicing out loud every single day. I made a daily devotional commitment to this relationship with the universe. I was like, I want the universe to be all in with me, so I need to be all in too. Right. So I literally voiced everything under the sun. I was like, it's funny because often it mirrors your relationship patterns, whether it's like friendships or romantic. It's really interesting because I was said to the universe, I remember being like, I feel like you love bomb me. I feel like you come in, you give me all these, whatever, like clients, this new house, this, and then you just leave me high and dry. So it's almost like I aired my dirty laundry, like what my innermost thoughts were. And what I sort of found was the more that I checked in, the more that that started to shift. And then, you know, in a few weeks, it was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for holding me. And like so quickly it shifts. And you can also do this with money too. I did this in a container last year. It was like a 1 month like money manifestation container. I got the girls to do money channeling every day, which was like having a conversation and like leaning into gratitude, but also just getting on the same page. Literally, the girls were like at the beginning, like, oh, I hate money, money's abandoned me, like, da da da, like all of those sorts of things. Every single person by about day 14 was like, oh, money is obsessed with me.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So when you tell them to kind of communicate with the universe, God, source, is that literally saying things out loud? Because I personally like doing it that way. Sometimes I journal as well. But let's say someone, again, some people listening to this are very spiritual, some of them are like pure beginners. How would you recommend they do that if they feel a bit silly just like talking out loud?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I feel like the good places to do it are when you're in private. So in the
Yeah.
shower or in the car are like the best
Mhm.
places to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you if you're on a walk, you could pretend you're on the phone to someone if you really wanted to. um, I think you just need to bypass that because is your desire bigger than your fear of feeling a bit silly? Of course,
Yeah.
it's like a muscle, right? It's like awakening a part of you, and it's moving the energy through your throat chakra. So, and
Yeah.
a lot of the times, especially us as like women, we need our voice to be in our power, and that part of us has been suppressed for such a long time. So why don't you lean in and use this as an opportunity to move that energy?
Yeah, I love how psychic you are because you don't even know, but this is a theme that we explored in this podcast in the past month, like all about our voice and throat chakra and unblocking it. So I absolutely love that. And I agree. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your business. Can you share the story of how you started your business? Kind of what drew you into this path of psychic readings and what those early days looked like for you?
Yeah. So I guess it was I when I was 23, so I'm now 30, I was living in Sydney, a whole nother life. I was corporate girly, working in private equity and acting, going to auditions and things. And I got really unwell, really, really sick, to the point where it was a struggle for me to even get up for work and all of that. I'd been diagnosed with a couple of autoimmune diseases and things, and just things weren't shifting. And I remember, and like how many times we ignore our intuition. I remember like being like something is wrong, and the doctors and things, they said like your results are improving on paper, but I was like, no, but I feel worse, something
Yeah.
is wrong, it's not right. And they kept ignoring me, but my intuition was telling me, but I didn't really know what intuition was back then. I wasn't tapped in like I am now, but now I see, that's what that was, that voice that was still in me. And so I had to forcibly move back to Perth, to my family to heal my body first. So that was kind of the first part of my journey. I met a naturopath, and I remember she said to me on my first session, she was like, you don't have, so it was actually Graves' disease I was diagnosed with, which is a thyroid condition. And she was like, no, like you don't have that just by looking at you, which was obviously her intuition was telling her.
Yeah.
She was like, I think you have Hashimoto's and like a few other things. And like she was 100% right. And we got that confirmed on all the tests. And she was like, are you ready to take the power back in your life? And I was like, yes, I am, queen. Like, I felt like she awoken my soul. And I feel like everyone has that key first person that ignites their light back.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we started our first healing journey. I started doing then naturally attracted in manifestation like courses and things just online, watching YouTube, kind of consuming. About a year into that journey, my results had improved, but not to the level that they should have. And then this is where she said to me, she was like, Shanae, you know, you're doing everything right. But I feel like it's deeper. I feel like it's emotional trauma that's trapped. I'm going to recommend you to an energy healer. And I'd never done anything like that before. And I was a bit like, oh, like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm willing to do anything. I just want to feel good. So I just went in with an open heart, just trusting. And I had been reading a lot of books and stuff. So it was all pieces of the puzzle, right? And so I went into this lady, she did a healing on me, her own sort of modality. And I remember one session with her felt the equivalent of like 6 months of talk therapy. And I was like,
Wow.
Oh, okay. This is where I'm meant to be. So she ended up taking me under her wing and became like my mentor during that time. So I started seeing her almost weekly for 6 months. After 6 months, and this is really cool. So the more inner work you do on yourself, the more you become psychic, the more you become a channel. So because it's clearing space for your intuition to kind of flow through. And I didn't know that going into this journey. I now know because I've taught so many people how to become psychic. But that's what happened to me. So it was 6 months down the track, and bam, my channel came on for the first time, my clairaudience. And I started channeling all these things, and I wrote them down. It kind of scared me a little bit at the beginning, if I'm being honest, but I was like, I think this is what my mentor does. Wrote it all down, and over the next few months, everything on that list came true.
Crazy. And was that originally just for yourself? The
That was literally just for
channeling?
myself.
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel good. I did not start this to
Yeah.
start a business. I didn't even know that was possible. Eventually, I called in funny from the UK. I had a
Mm.
manifestation coach from the UK. I worked with her just to work on like self love and things, and I would share about my psychic stuff that would happen, and she was really interested. And at one point, she just said to me, she was like, you need to monetize your gifts. And I was like, what? Like, how is that even a thing? Because I was naturally, I'd gone back to work in a different career, but I was coaching people in my office, like helping people manifest, like everything I was learning, I was just sharing. And I was doing that. And I also went to a couple of like mediumship retreats with Perth's top medium. She got a
Mm.
3 year wait list, like wild. So I trained with her as well. And yeah, then I don't know, it was kind of like getting towards the end, and I just remember having this feeling like walking into work. I was like, I'm not meant to be here anymore. Like, I'm done. I was like, I'm going to start my business. And then this is really cool because, like, the universe will test you to see like what you're ready for. So basically, I was going to cut my 9 to 5 down from 5 days a week to 3 days a week. And that was all agreed upon. And then it was getting towards the end of the year. My boss called me in and she's like, we can't honor that anymore. People have left the team. Take the break to think about it. But if you're going to come back, like, you need to come back fully. And I had just manifested like my dream apartment with my friend, and like, I'd invested all this money on like furniture and all those sorts of things. And I was expecting that safety blanket of the 3 days a week whilst I pursued my business, right?
Yeah.
And Spirit was like, no, like, you need to leave. Like, I know it's like, you need to quit. You need to go all in. We'll be all in with you if you are all in with us. And I was like, okay. I was scared shitless, like so terrified. Because I had no idea what was coming, but it was the whole like, sometimes we have to leap and then the universe will hold us. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's that way. Sometimes it's the other way where the universe holds you and helps you leap. But the quantum leaps, it's always you. It's the blind
Yeah.
trust and faith thing. And yeah, so I quit. It was like giving main character movie moment. New Year's Eve, literally New Year's Eve. She
Wow.
texted me. She didn't even wait till like, when work was back. Like, I
Yeah.
remember I was going on the way to a New Year's Eve party,
Oh God.
and getting the message being
Were
like,
you like
let me
freaking out the whole party?
no, no, no.
No.
Literally, I'm like at this. I don't know anyone at this party except my housemate and like the hosts of the party. There's
Yeah.
like 60 people there. I'm People are arriving. I'm like hyperventilating on the grass, like freaking out, grounding, like just trying to center myself. Like, it was
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, I did it, and it all just worked out exactly
And
how the universe said.
did you manage to go in with your like go full time with your business basically straight away from there?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, it was in, I think by month 3, things really started shifting. That was the other piece of the puzzle. Spirit said to me, Shanae, you need to have a month off completely.
Mm.
Like, no working on, don't even think about business, because it was like New Year's. So they were like, take the month of
Yeah.
January off. And the message that I kept getting was, you're about to be busier than you've ever been in your entire life. We want you to rest. We want you to play. We want you to have fun. Forget about it. Just enjoy living in the 3D. And I remember seeing like the money go down in my bank account and just being like, no, like, I'm so held, I'm so safe. Like, there's a reason. Like, my channel has not led me wrong before. And yeah, like, I was so right. And then it
Yeah.
all just popped off. I think it, by like, because I officially started in February, and I remember it was by May that I made maybe my first like 3.5K, and then the next month it was like 7, and then 10, and then it just kind of like grew from there. So it was just wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And take us through I don't want to call it strategy because I feel like with you it's not really strategy, but how did you how did you acquire those like first clients and how did it keep growing? What did you do
Yeah,
to make
well,
it
something that I say to my clients is like not having the attachment to how your order is going to get delivered to you from the universe. So it's kind of like opening up your money channel to receive in the way that the universe wants to give to you. So I, in my human mind slash also my channel, I was like, oh, I'm gonna 6 week containers. That's what I started posting about. And I remember like no one jumped in, no one jumped in. And I was like, oh my God, universe, like, what are you doing? Why did I remember feeling that, like,
Yeah.
oh, that squeeze. And then my mentor at the time, she said to me, because she knew that I was like a channel and stuff, I didn't offer psychic readings. The only thing I wanted to do, see, that like I wanted to,
Yeah.
was do this 6 week thing because that's what I'd been told. And anyway, I started doing these like intuitive drops on the question
Mm.
box. So I'd get people to pop in a question or an emoji. And then I would just tune into their energy and give them like a free reading. And then all of a sudden, like with the feedback that I was getting, everyone's like, what the, like, how did you know? Like, it was just wild. And then people started asking me, hey, can I book in a psychic reading with you? So it happened naturally.
Yeah.
And then I just started offering that. And then it was cool. People would book in for a psychic. And then that kind of led into a funnel of them working longer. And then they're like, oh my God, I need to be in your space. I need to be in your energy. What else do you have? And then that kind of happens. And then what you find is the more you kind of like lean into that, then the next pathway will open up, which was groups for me. So
Yeah.
it all just like opens. But I think a huge piece of advice that I would say is like, if you're feeling like this force energy. So my first year of business, I did like so many psychic readings, so many one-off energy healing sessions as well. But I remember towards the end of it, the energy healings in particular, like I would like feel like resistance getting on. I was so good at it, and I am, but it took so much from me. And I remember being terrified when I was like, oh, I think I need to shut that part of my business down and I just need to trust. And like I did, and the relief that I felt. And then it just opened up it opened up masterclasses for me, which is still like
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do. So yeah.
Yeah, I love your master classes. I've bought so many of them. So, as you say, like a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs can get really stuck in that masculine over strategy kind of energy. And of course, like we are women, we love operating with this like feminine energy and from intuition, but there's still obviously the practical strategy that has to happen. How do you personally balance those two, that like intuitive flow with practical business decisions and actions that you need to take?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, and I feel like it depends on what season of life that you're in. So
Yeah.
sometimes I like to think of life like the season. Sometimes we're in a winter season, and sometimes we're in a summer. When we're in a summer or a spring, we have a lot of bloom, we have a lot of life force energy, and that's where I really lean into creating and birthing, and just like that masculine energy is just naturally kind of on because you've got overflow. But when you're in an internal winter or autumn, I really honor that. And it's like less is more. Like you strip back, bare basics. What is the bare minimum that I need to do this week? And also, sometimes as well, just like what I actually do, this is a cool energetic exercise. So I will sort of like sit in meditation, and I will check in with my inner feminine and my inner masculine, and I will see what they're doing, see if they're communicating, see if they're happy, whatever's going on. And I'll ask my masculine, hey, what do you, I need to work with you today. I've got some shit I need to do. So what do you, and I ask that part of me, I give it a voice, and I'm like, what do you need in order to perform today or to take a seat
Yeah.
at the table? And then you'll get an answer. Like it'll be like, I just need you to walk. I need you to eat an apple. I need you to, like, you will get something. and then you do the thing and then you feel better. And same with the feminine. Sometimes she's like, hey, like, I just need a hug. I just need some chocolate, like, whatever. Like, just listen to kind of like what's going on. And then kind of flowing from that as well is like honoring your cycle and like where you're at. It's like, you know, I know for me, like, I can't hold space like those first couple of days because it really just like takes it out of me, and I just want to pour into my own cup. And the more that I've kind of like just make sure in my calendar I don't schedule active client calls. Sure, I have energy to like post a little bit on
Yeah.
Instagram and, you know, answer some emails and stuff, but like I don't want to be like giving a lot of me during that time. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you say about tuning in and just asking those questions because it really can be that simple. Like people really overcomplicate it. If you learn to tune in and truly just ask the right questions, like I practice intuition with a big mentor in LA, through Zoom, of course. And recently I asked him, like, what is the next step for me, like in my business, like just a quantum leap to the next level. And of course, like we can read others, but like for ourselves, it's always nice to have someone else to read you because you are emotionally involved with your own shit, basically. So he was like, you are doing well on the energetic side, but you need to step up your strategy, your actual like physical. And he said that's a lot of like spiritual entrepreneurs and business owners. We tend to so be like in our feminine and like working on our energy. And he's like, the physical is important. And he told me to just ask source, what is one thing that I need to do right now that will make it inevitable for my business to leap forward? He was like, just ask and see what comes in. And the next day, I had so many ideas downloaded, and I just went and like did it. You know what I mean? Like it's the same as you when you say that some weeks you're just like letting yourself chill, and some weeks you're like all in. So with me, again, there's like the client work and posting on Instagram, which is done regularly. But then I have these weeks when I get these like bursts of inspiration, and like whole sales pages are done and programs are filmed. And then after that, you could just let yourself relax. But it's that thing of just asking source, God, the universe, what do I need to do right now? And which aspect of my, I don't want to call it personality, but like, energy do I need to pay more attention to? You just get the answer.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing is, like, like, as women, like, we're not meant to be on all the time. Like, we're actually not. And the more you can honor and, like, really lean in and, like, tune into your body and, like, know what it needs and, like, exercise the way it needs at certain times of the month, like, you actually have more capacity to give, is what I
Yeah.
found. And sometimes we think it's counterintuitive. Oh, if I rest, I'm not doing stuff. The thing is, if you have intentional rest, intentional listening to yourself, right? I just need a day off my phone. And then you do that and you don't feel guilty and you remove the shame and all of those sorts of pieces. You'll come back the next day with a full cup rather than pushing from like a 3/4 empty cup, right?
Yeah. It sounds cliche, but it's really all about self-love. Like I preach self-love so much because again, as a business owner, and a lot of people tend to do this, they tend to think that their business is them. So they would like wake up in the morning and before they even brush their teeth, they're like looking at their emails or like answering DMs, and they think that they're doing great for their business, meaning they're doing great for themselves. And I always have to tell clients, and I talk about it a lot on the podcast as well, that you have to fill your own cup first. And if you put your business ahead of yourself, that is you not putting yourself at the top of your priority list. And therefore, potential clients also won't see you as the first choice. Because again, the world is a mirror. If you put yourself first, not from a selfish place, but from a place of filling your cup so you can help others better, then potential clients, followers, whatever it is, will see you and think, oh, they are the person for me. They are the person that I want to listen
Yeah.
to.
So on that, I have a cool story.
Yeah.
So last year, I'd experienced some flow for a little bit, and things, you know, like monetary wise, were like really starting to sort of pick up. And I had called in a guy that I was like, I manifested a man into my world. And I remember he came in. I was scared, terrified because I'd been so in my masculine in my business, masculine life, like live by myself, like, you know, constantly in that energy. And like he came in and just wanted to like give and wanted to provide and wanted to just make my life better. And I remember feeling such resistance to receiving in that relationship. And also, I was feeling guilty because I wanted to spend time with him and I wanted to do like less in business. Like, And I remember fighting with like my head and my heart. It was like this internal battle. And I remember my mentor said to me, she was like, Shanae, what about if you just leaned into the relationship and that was your number one priority right now? What about if you just did that for the next month and just see what happens? And I remember my soul, it's just like she just gave me permission to do what I actually wanted to do. And I did. I fully leaned into that relationship and was so held and supported. And I remember, like, the next month, like, I made more than double than I'd ever made in my life
Right.
without launching anything. Without
Yeah.
launching. Like,
It's
I'm
all your
sorry.
energy.
Yeah, because I was
Yeah.
receiving in more ways than one. So
Yeah. I love
it's like when
that.
you open yourself up, like that's how it just like it flows in and it's just
Yeah.
wild. And no strategy, no nothing. Like
Yeah.
literally nothing. Yeah.
I love that story because I feel like I experience this a lot with clients, and I'm sure you do as well, that you probably also get a lot of clients who want to quantum leap their businesses and all of that. And they think we're just going to be talking about not necessarily strategy, but even just like business energetics or stuff like that. And then you can be like, hey, you need to spend more time with family this week, or like take a break, or and they'll be like, well, I pay you to blow up my business, like what's happening? But
Yeah.
intuitively, you can tell that they need to fill up their cups different
Yeah.
areas as well. And also there's the reflection parts as well. So like for me in August, I have a 3-year-old son and I just couldn't get any camps for him for August. Basically he stayed home the whole month. And I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out about it originally because like I run a full-time business. Like how am I gonna do this with a very active 3-year-old at home? My husband works like 20 hours a day, he's never home. And then I realized I just got this intuitive nudge that August is it he my son is deliberately going to be home because August is a time for me to work on family reflections so that I can also quantum leap in other areas of life. So like working on patience with my son, working on feeling not good enough as a mother, and basically digging into all of these reflections and shifting them, understanding what they're showing me and shifting them also helped me get so much better as a coach, as a mentor in my business. So these things are always interconnected. So yeah, I love that. And what I particularly love about your Instagram page is the fact that you don't really follow any trends or kind of the rules of the algorithm. You really show up fully you, like you fully express. It's just like you. Like anyone who follows you would just know who you are truly, even if you don't share everything. Like you don't have to share everything to show who you are. And again, this is actually a theme that I've been exploring personally, first of all, this year, and then also recently on the podcast and on my page, showing up as your full, authentic self like everywhere and especially online if you're an online business owner. And with you, we know that your business is thriving without having to follow specific rules. Like if you feel like sharing things on your stories, like you wouldn't think about, oh, I should make this short and snappy so that more people watch or something like that. Can you take us through this a little bit? Like has this always been easy for you to show up like this without thinking about kind of the algorithm or the rules, without thinking if people would judge you or misunderstand you? Or is this something that you've had to learn with time?
I think like the right eyes are just always on you. And it's like the ones who then will stick through if I do like a long story series and I'm like, oh no, I need to share this and whatever. And it just like comes through. It's like the right person is going to receive that message. And you just
Yeah.
need to focus on that. And the thing is, like, authenticity, like the frequency of that is 400 times more powerful on the scale, like, than love. And I
Mm.
think that's why people are drawn to me because of that, because there's no like quote unquote like filter. It's just like I'm the same in real life as how I am online and like most of the time. So I feel that I also don't dim when I'm like going through it too. And I feel like a lot of people still kind of like put out that highlight reel or whatever and I'm just like no, like I'm not about that. That's not real life. Like we're all going to go through ebbs and flows and like transparently, like last year I was on the top of the world, like literally every single area of my life, like the boxes were ticked. And then this year, none of the boxes, all the boxes were unticked. And, I took a full like break. I don't think I shared on my stories for like 2 months or something. And I was just like, I just needed to honor that. But then when I was ready to open up again and, in and share, there was just so much magic in that. the vulnerability piece, that's what I get comments about a lot, is like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much for sharing this. I needed to hear that. And even if it just makes an impact on one person, I'm like, that's worth it every day in the week, rather than going viral to like millions of people who, like, you make no impact on.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another thing that I wanted to say. I'm trying to remember what it was right now. But yeah, I guess a lot of business mentors would tell you, like, not you specifically, but like anyone, you have to show authority online and like to people, for people to buy from you. You can't show that you are struggling in certain areas because then they would think, oh, why would I want to learn from that person? So what do you have to say about that?
That gives me the ick. That literally gives me the ick. I'm like, ew, no. Um, I don't know, and it's just I just, that whole rule book, like, I've learnt those things from mentors and stuff in the past. It's just never sat right with me. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel good in my body. It makes me feel like I want to throw up, honestly.
yeah,
Um, it's not nice. And I even had a friend message me today, and she was on I guess, a sales call with someone, and they were like, "Oh, you have to pay the money on the call, the first deposit." And then she's like got off, and she's like, did I really want to do that? Like, and then she's messaging me like, oh, what do I do? Like, I feel like I leaned in. I wasn't,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor, like, she was not regulated at all to make that decision. And I remember my first business mentor, she used to say the same things, but like, I just never did it. I maybe did it like once or twice, like, come on, like, followed quote unquote the script. And then I was just like, I don't
yeah,
want to work with clients that aren't in integrity anyway. The right ones that are for me will come to me. Like, I just, and it always happens. It always,
yeah.
always, always happens. Like, I had a random email today, someone like inquiring, and heard me on a podcast like a year or so ago. And she was like, oh, I just heard that. Like, I need to work with you. Like, it just happens. And I think, like, the more you're in your magnetic energy, the more open you are, it's easier to create from that space too, because you're not hiding anything. You're just like, hey, this is all of me.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, you also never know where it's going to come from. Like, I had a message yesterday. So basically, I started talking about intuition publicly. I would say, well, I did a little bit. I dabbled with it like 2 years ago, but properly about like 6 months ago. And again, I was like scared shitless because until a year ago, I was an online health and fitness coach, which so
Oh,
wasn't my jam. Like, I've done a lot of things. Like, while doing my PhD and working in academia, I started in a health and fitness coaching business. I think the main reason that I started it, well, originally it was because I experienced postpartum depression and I wanted to help moms. But really, it was just me wanting to help people and do my own thing. I just knew that I'm a free soul. I just need to be an entrepreneur. I've always known that. And it started that way. But as soon as it just started feeling really misaligned, that's when I shifted. But I had a lot of my followers at the time were like people who followed me for fitness content and a lot of like gym bros, like personal trainers who followed me. And I remember like being so scared specifically of them, like thinking that I'm so crazy because that like niche is so, I don't know how to, you know what I'm talking
like
about. They're very like,
taboo.
yeah, like so not like spiritual. And a few days after I started talking about that on my Instagram, like one of those like jacked gym bros, like super successful coach, messaged me and he was like, "Can you do a reading for me?" And I was like, "What's going on?" And that showed me that you can really never know. Like the people that I thought would be interested were not necessarily. Then the people that I totally didn't think like just reached out. And with this guy, like I've worked with him a lot. Like 2 months ago, we did a session. He was at 10K months, like euros, and he wanted to double his income. And I told him I can see that it's going to happen by the end of the year. And he totally didn't believe me. And yesterday he actually messaged me that he reached 20Ks like this month in September. And I was like, yes. But it's just crazy. And I just told the story because it just happened yesterday. But it's just, you really never know who are the people who are just going to reach out and want to work with you, and people who are really, they might not seem like a person who would ever be interested in what you're doing, but when you really start talking and you're not scared of just showing who you are, what you believe in, what you want to talk about, you would be shocked how many people would reach out like secretly or publicly to say that they just want you to work with them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Like, I remember this girl from school who was kind of like a little bit of a bully. Not really
yeah,
got to me, but
yeah,
yeah, I remember maybe like I don't know, 6 months into my business, she's like, I'm obsessed with she sent me this, I hadn't heard from her since high school. She sent me this huge thing. Oh my
Crazy.
God, you're so inspiring. Like everything that you're doing, like you've given me permission to start my business, like all these sorts of things. And I was like blown away. But I think a huge piece, especially when I was like starting, was like, especially when you get in your head and you're like, you feel that resistance. You're like, I really want to do this, but like there's like a block, there's a barrier. You need to make it less about you and more about them. And
Yeah.
that really, my first year, that was like pretty much like my mantra. And I lived and embodied that. And I was like, Shanae, you are doing your future clients a disservice by not showing up. You're
Yes.
robbing them. You're literally robbing them of stepping into their dream life and manifesting whatever. So it's like the longer you wait to shine your light, the longer they have to wait for you, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah,
So
basically kind of get out of your own head and like start doing what you need to do to help other people. Like we're all here, we all have a purpose in this lifetime. We all chose our purpose ahead of time. And if we're off our soul path, it's like we are doing the service to everyone, not
yeah.
just ourselves.
Yeah, and
So
it's on that. It's also interesting, and it's like a little bit of a check. Sometimes, if you call in like a wobbly client or someone that's not fully like aligned, and then you're like, oh, like how did this come in? It's like usually there's a part of you that's like out of integrity, or there's something that maybe you're not tending to within yourself. Because I've very, very, very rarely, like I could count on one hand the amount of unaligned clients I've had in 4 years. But occasionally, like a little bit of that energy creeps in, and then I have to be like, oh, well, my boundaries are a bit off at the moment. Like
yeah,
there was a gap in my field to allow this in. So
yeah,
yeah, that's also sort of something to note. But also, the more that you're in that authenticity and in your light, you're going to attract the right people who are attracted to that vibration, that frequency. If you water yourself down, you're going to get the watered down version of the clients.
yes, yes. So yeah, I agree with everything. It's just, it's so true. And I feel like, again, it's what the work is internal. It's always first and foremost internal when you work on yourself, as we talk about self-love, self-expression, authenticity, setting boundaries, you will get the right places in business, the right clients. But when something misaligned happens, it's always good to look inwards as well and see, okay, what do I need to shift internally for this to shift and for things not to repeat themselves the way that it is right now. So we are almost at the end. If you could leave our listeners, and again, many of them are entrepreneurs, women, with one message about creating a life and business that feel great, that feel like a full body yes, what would it be?
Oh, it would definitely be connecting in with your heart space and in your womb and like moving from there. I feel like the womb is like our sacral chakra, it's our manifestation portal. We literally breathe life. Like we grow life. That's where our businesses are created. Everything comes from like that sacral. And what I would say is like a huge thing that I do is like I actually talk to my womb and I like connect into her and I'm like ask her like, what do you need from me? What do you need from me in order to create,
Mm,
or and things like that. So it's like always checking in with your heart and your womb and like, does this light me up? Does this make me feel alive? Or is there some sort of resistance there? And then with that piece, I guess, with the resistance, is it coming from the fact that this thing isn't fully aligned and I'm trying to make it fit into this thing? Or is it just an edge? And your body
mhm.
will also always, always know and will always tell you. But yeah, finally, when your manifestations are in the womb, and they're still brewing and they're still manifesting, just be super selective on who you allow in that sacred space. Like when a woman's pregnant, most of the time they wait till the second trimester. You should think about
Yeah.
that with your manifestations too.
Do you mean in terms of not telling people what you are manifesting, or in general, not letting people into your field when you are in that vortex of manifestation?
Both.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah, just being selective. You can even do an intuitive. And I ask this sometimes with spirit if I'm like I'm really excited about something. I'm like, can I share? And I'll hear a yes or no, and then
Mm,
I just honor that.
yeah.
Because sometimes it's like one wobbly word from the wrong person at the wrong time when you're vulnerable, it sends you back miles away, and it like the manifestation just it just like goes, and it was like getting some momentum. So that's what I would also say. And I would also say when you're in the process of birthing our creation into the world, you want love and light and support around you. Who do you want in the waiting room? Who do you want in
Yeah,
the waiting room? And be ruthless about that. Like,
yeah,
what do you need? What do you desire? It's not forever. It's just for this season. And like,
yeah.
gift yourself that. And if people don't understand, then they're not your people.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. Like I had to basically end a friendship a few months ago because I was in a lot like I was finishing my PhD. I was like growing my business, looking after my son, and it's a friend like abroad, and I think I didn't reply to her message for like a month because I just like couldn't cope. Sometimes you just can't cope. You have so much going on that you can't like listen to voice notes and like reply straight away. And like my people know that I am not great at replying to messages, definitely not straight away. But she sent me this like nasty message that she can't believe that I have time to record podcast episodes, but I don't have time to like listen to her 20-minute voice notes and reply. And I took it really hard initially, but I was like, listen, you can't see the same way as you go to work, and I don't know, she's a lawyer. So the same way you show up in court, I show up to serve my clients, and I do it through podcasts, through client calls, and that's where I give my energy to. And when I feel like, again, it's like these seasons. So when I feel like I'm in a season or in a week when like I want to kind of relax a little bit, then I will get back to everyone. I will schedule calls and meetups. But people who don't really understand you or are not rooting for you, you just sometimes have to let people go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And sometimes that's the link to unlocking your next level is actually by letting go because they're no longer a match to your new vibration
Yeah.
that's trying to come in. Sometimes that's the last piece of the puzzle. And what I've found, it happens every single up level. Your circle will change. People
Yeah.
will shift and, maybe they're not on the inner circle anymore. They're like a layer out or two layers out, or they've fully left, or there's new people. That's such a sign that your frequency is changed when your circle
Yeah.
changes.
That you're
And
quantum leaping. Yeah.
also, just like on that, like let them, like, I feel like that's probably something I would say to like my past self who was trying to hold on to all these people because I had so much love. It's just like, just let it. The sooner you,
Yeah.
I wish I had learned that earlier
Yeah.
on in my
I
journey.
mean,
Just,
it's a hard lesson to learn and it's hard to implement as well because, again, you love these people and you share so many memories with them. But I absolutely agree. And I think when you learn this, like, science almost of manifestation and how to quantum leap, these things happen so quickly. Like, for me in the past year, I've had like incredible friendships for 3 months that now we barely talk anymore. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about it. And they didn't all, like, most of them did not end badly. It's just kind of drifted apart, drifted away, But that's what happens because you quantum leap to your next level and then you attract people that are a match to your new vibration and new energy. And as you say, the sooner you learn to accept it and embrace it, the easier it'll be to get to that next level and stay there.
yeah. And what I find is like the universe always replaces with better. So
Yeah.
I remember there was like I was going through a huge up level. So many things happened in a month, but one of the things was like a friend who I thought would be a bridesmaid one day. Like that friendship just like ended. She did some really unkind things, and I literally had seen her and held her at that level that I thought that that's where she would be, and I let her go. And like within 2 weeks, I met my now one of my best friends, and we've like traveled
Yeah.
together and done all these things. And I met her listening to her on a podcast, literally. And I
Crazy.
looked at her profile and I was like, I'm going to be her friend. Like I just knew. And I moved to the Gold
Yeah.
Coast and that's where she was living. So it was just
Yeah.
like so crazy. And she has been like one of the best friends I've ever had. And a million times better than that friendship that I thought was like going to be a bridesmaid.
Lifetime.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So thank you so much, Shanae. This has been so great. I'm so glad that you came here and shared all of your wisdom with us. So can you share with the listeners where they can find you and how they can work with you, any offers you have going on right now?
Yeah. So I guess you can just find me on Instagram. I'm sure you'll leave the tags,
Yeah,
just my
I'll leave
name, Shanae
everything in the show
Brown.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok and Instagram. I'm getting back on the socials a little bit. I'm very active on stories.
Yeah.
Like my stories, hopefully.
Yeah. Love
Yeah, so
it.
I have I have a couple of like one-to-one spots open at the moment, a pending group container which is starting soon, and then I just launched a 30-day. It's literally called 30-day portal party. So it's like 30 days to like manifest your dreams. Like it's yeah, insane. So
Yeah.
that one literally kicked off just before we got on this call. So
Yeah. I saw that, and it starts officially tomorrow, right? Like now we're recording
yeah, yeah, it's
Tuesday.
something that like it technically this is going to be live, but then it's something that people can purchase like
You can
two
always
years and they'll have
amazing.
instant access. But for the people who are doing it like live, you're going to get drip fed to you over the next 30 days. So yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
And I'm aiming for this episode to go up on Friday. So people who are listening to this in real time, the offer is still going on. It's still live, so they can join, and I'm definitely going to be there. So
yes.
thank you so much today. This has been so great. And yeah, good luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. It's been so beautiful.
Great. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.